I went through a miscarriage in December of 2020. I had found out I was pregnant. He had told me he was going to take himself out. He couldn't handle Oliver crying, and he went on to describe in front of my son how he was going to do it. And it scared me. And I said, Oliver deserves more than that. He doesn't deserve to have a parent that says, oh, my kid's crying, so I'm going to go fucking take a big thing of pills, or I'm going to go do this, or I'm going to go do that. It was just very selfish. And at that point, I knew I didn't love him. I mean, we were together for convenience. We were together because of Oliver. And I hadn't been in love with Kevin for a really long time. I think it was honestly after finding out I was pregnant with Oliver, I knew that this was not the man I was going to be with. I didn't see us growing old together. I didn't see us, having all these things like these people talk about. I didn't have all these dreams with him because it wasn't going to be realistic. I was forced to live in an old ass house with a lot of problems. The house I was living in Everett should be condemned. The house was just gross and mold and a lot of problems. And of course, my mother-in-law at that time liked to shove it in my face that she was giving us a place to live, and that we didn't have to pay rent and we should be grateful. Despite the fact that when I was pregnant, I had someone take a poop in my yard, leave heroin needles all over the ground, and I was told that I had to clean them up. Oh, hell no. I saw a man shaving his chest on my doorstep. I saw people overdosing. This is before Narcan was out, that was publicly out. And so I'd have to call 911. It could take 3 hours for the police in Everett to show up. And it wasn't a good environment. In March of 2021, I was going through an identity crisis, trying to find out who I was. I had started losing weight. I'd lost about 50 pounds at that time. Had started doing a lot of modeling, was doing some like boudoir, kind of like body positivity. I knew I was plus size, but hey, I love me, so you're going to love me too. And it was at that time in trying to do all these MLMs and try these ketones and try these supplements and do these wraps and do this, all that shit, it doesn't work. But at that time, I had another predator that was actually trying to hurt me in my life. So while working with Prove It, trying to do ketones, and like I said, this is up until March of 2021, there was a doctor that was assigned, a chiropractor that was on the team that I was on. And he was perverted, but it was like Jimmy perverted. So like he would message me inappropriate stuff, and ended up finding out that there were some problems. I opened up and told him that there were some problems that were happening at home. And I had an ex-husband that was telling me, go on OnlyFans, post this, get money, do this, sell your body, do that. And you're this normal person and you're so overly sexualized and pushed into these things. I didn't know what to do. And so there was pictures that were up, and it wasn't the first time that pictures of me had leaked. I had an ex-boyfriend when I was 19 leak pictures of me that Mark and my mother saw, like humiliating. You don't want that stuff happening. And so things got posted and ended up exploiting me pretty bad. He opened up that he was in a marriage and he was unhappy. He said that him and his wife were going to be getting a divorce. And he was going to come up to Washington and he was going to take me. And I was going to be his. And I was like, I was property. I wasn't a person. I was going to be property. No concern about my son, no concern about anything else. And I knew this wasn't right. I knew this wasn't healthy. So like I said, in March, I decided to cut my hair off. I had been growing my hair out and I just said, fuck it, I'm going to be me. And I cut my hair into a mohawk and I rocked that mohawk. I loved having it because it made my eyes pop. I was different. I was doing something that most women said, oh, why would we want our hair short? You're supposed to have your hair long and blah, 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 blah. No, I wanted to be me. And ended up going publicly on Facebook at that time. I was very active, very, very active on Facebook, had about 1,500 or 2,000 people. I had just gotten to the live status on TikTok, so I was doing live videos on TikTok, and had a couple viral videos go out and had talked to people about what was happening. And I didn't recognize. I was just really bad, drinking all the time. I mean, I was making sure to take care of my son. So while he was there, I was fine. But the second his father got home, I'm pounding him. In March, on March 20th, 2021, I remember the date specifically. I was drinking. So I was one of those winos, and they call it bitch beer, but like the canned drinks. So like you can get whatever beer at 12% or 13 or 14 or whatever it is, and they'd have these mixers. Well, there was a certain can, and it was a green can, MXD, and it had a Chihuahua on it, and it was lime margarita, and it was at 12% mulled liquor. And I remember I pounded 2 of those. And every time I would drink them, I would get this weird pain in my chest. And it was always on the left side, going up through the shoulder. And I felt really hot. I didn't even know I'm having an allergic reaction to what it appears to be alcohol or some form of alcohol. And I didn't care. I just try to burp it up, try to do whatever, try to make it go away. Eventually it goes away. But that night, I was at a point of no return. I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to drink. So I drank those. I drank some wine, and I ended up getting really, really tired. Told my ex-husband that I was going to go to bed. And I remember getting in bed. My son co-slept with us. So he's passed out. He's got his little cartoons on. And I remember going in there, and I remember laying down next to him and passing out. And the next thing I know, I am being woken up by my ex-husband touching me and telling me that I want it. Never wanted it. I told him, do not ever touch me in my sleep. If I wake up to you doing this, this is rape. This happened to me as a child. Do not ever do this to me. He knew I had certain boundaries. Like you couldn't wake me up just to have sex with me. Like everything at that point in my life, I had to have control over everything, schedule everything, figure everything out. Like I had to fight just to have any length of control of my own life. And at that point, I didn't have any. So I remember him waking me up, and I don't remember the full attack. My story has never changed. I have said the same thing to the police. I have said the same thing to anybody that would listen. I do not remember the full attack. I remember being out in the living room, and I remember waking up the next day, and I remember being sore and having physical signs of trauma. So the next day I woke up and I was confused, and I went up to him and I said, you raped me last night. He said, I didn't fucking rape you. And he said, you raped me. You did something to me. Well, I was unable to consent in my sleep. And the next thing I know, he breaks down, starts making a big mockery in a scene, crying his eyes out. I would never hurt you. Please don't call the cops on me. Blah, blah, blah. I would never do that. I'm not that type of person. And just starts feeding me this line of bullshit. I didn't listen to it. I knew at that time we were done. I went that day, and I had gotten a call from a friend and told her, I was like, yeah, I think I want to come down and see you. Her name was Crystal. She lived in Bellevue. She's like, come down, talk to me. I had just came out on Facebook as somebody who was into both men and women. At that time, I didn't know what it was called. I called it bisexual. I didn't know what it was. But I was also open to the idea that as humans, we are not genetically formed to be monogamous creatures. We have, like, human beings and all these primates and everything in general have always been polyamorous. So I had this idea of, is this what I'm wanting? Is this what's missing out of my life? And I made a post and I talked about a friend of mine that I had met. Her name was Becky, and she was really, really good to me. She was a really nice friend. And she and I flirted and we kissed a couple times, but I mean, nothing else happened. Um, and it was all with consent of my ex-husband. My ex-husband was encouraging me, go out and find, like, be with a woman, find your happiness. But in his head, he just wanted me to bring somebody home to have a menage a trois. And that's not what I wanted. I didn't want to be with a man. I didn't want to be with him. Like, he was a predator. He was another abuser of my life, and I didn't want it. So like I said, the next day I went to Crystal's house. I had told her what had happened. She encouraged me at that time not to leave. I told her that with Oliver in the car, I'm crying. I'm like, I got to take Oliver home. But I'll let you know what's happening. I'll let you know where I am. I'll let you know that I'm okay. And I went home the 21st, woke up on the 22nd. So this was a Monday, and says that he was not going into work, and he said, I want a divorce. And I said, oh, so you raped me, and then 2 days later you tell me you want a divorce. It's good to know. And right then and there he said, you have a week, find your stuff, get out. And I said, fuck you, I'm not leaving. This has been our shared house for 11 years. You're not getting rid of me that easy. I haven't been working. I had COVID. I had been recovering, being a stay-at-home mom at that time, and was still doing things on the side to try to help. So, like, helping people with resumes, helping people with their job search. I was still doing what I'm doing now, just on a very, very scaled level. And I was just like, no, this isn't the way it's going to be. So that was March 22nd. By May 1st, I was out of the house. So in the end of April, I met my partner. And when I met my partner, I felt for the first time like I was seen. He didn't just see me, like, he actually saw my heart. And he took the time to ask me, what is it that you've experienced that has put you to the spot where you are now? And I opened up. And from April 26, 2021, nobody has been able to lay their hands on me. And that is simply because I got with my partner. I found my partner. I found the person that literally brings spark to my soul. Like this, when they talk about that soulmate energy, that twin flame, that person that just, you know, your soul was destined to be with, that's my partner.